we all are going through this. Life is hitting all of us at the same time. And when you start to alienate yourself and believe that you're doing that alone, it's that much harder. We are all on this spinning rock trying to find a way to be happy. You know what I mean? And so when you realize you're not alone in your struggles, you're not alone in your questions, you're not alone in your sadness, dude, we are all in this same space and we're all trying to work our way out of it. Open up to a friend and let them know, like, hey, do you have a minute? Let me dump something onto you. And you'll get a lot more relief knowing that you're not alone.
Guys, we're back here at the Core Medical Military Appreciation Weekend. And again, we are just talking to people who are doing amazing things in the world that are bigger than themselves. And I cannot stress that enough. But it's beyond uniforms. And I'm with another fellow veteran here myself. It's beyond the uniform. It's past all the accolades. It's stories and work that's doing, like I said, that's bigger than yourself. So you guys know him. You love him. Vincent Rocco Vargas is joined with me here. And brother, let's get straight into the hard shit.
Let's go.
If you don't mind. You ready?
Let's go.
What's the hardest lesson life has ever forced you to learn?
That wellness has no destination. That no matter how hard you work, life will continue to throw punches your way. And you have to continue to evolve and grow. And so that was a tough one for me because I felt like, oh, I've been in counseling. I'm good. No, you'll have to continue to dissect these deeper things that come your way, whether it's death, whether it's life, whether it's bills, whether it's family. And so when you finally come to grips, like, okay, I have to continue to be ready for the punches and enjoy the moments that they're not happening, right? Basking in that glory of like success and wins. And so I think it's when someone told me that, and his name is David Vibora, when he said mental health has no destination, it finally clicked. I was like, oh, fuck, you're right. This is a constant work I have to put in. And it actually eased the stress of it all. But I needed to hear
There's
that.
no point of destination.
You'll never get to a point where like, oh, I'm done bettering myself. No, that doesn't work.
Right.
There's no reality in that. It's just like TRT. You have to keep taking that, right?
Yeah.
Just like fitness, you have to keep working out. You're going to have to continue to evolve with life. And once you understand that, I think it makes it a little bit easier knowing like, okay, this fight is constant.
Yeah. So has there been a moment in your life where you thought this might break me? And then how did you push through it?
I think I have that often. My first divorce, my second divorce, kids, you know, the little issues that happen in their lives or big issues that happen in their lives, you know, finances, you know. I think, you know, it's funny. The first time I met my wife, the first tax that came around the corner, we just hit a big movie, right? The Range 15 did really well. We got big checks. This is the first time I'm managing my own kind of business finances. And I got hit with, I owed $74,000 to taxes. And that was like...
That was your first big year of like, oh, I have to...
Yeah, I made good money. Oh, I have to pay a lot of money too. Yeah, I don't have that.
I spent all that.
I spent all of that, you know?
You know how many kids I have?
You know, I felt like I was living the dream, homie. You know what I mean? But that was a tough one, man, because, you know, then you start feeling like overwhelmed, and then you start feeling like the downward spiral of what that makes you feel. And so, you know, that's one of the big ones, right? But
How'd you push through that?
One bite at a time, dude. Like everything else I do now. It's just like, okay, what are the steps? Got to make payments towards it, you know, and then you did that, and then you're like, how do I not do that again? You know, so then I hired on a CPA that managed that a little bit better than I did, and we just kind of depended on that. But, you know, I was just like, it feels scary because I didn't understand taxes. I didn't realize that was going to happen. I heard about it, but like I didn't know that was that dramatic, you know. But you know, it wasn't. You know, there was 2 years later, Mayans had a really big year, and then all of a sudden another 65K. But hey, I had it.
Right.
There you go. You know what I mean? So, you know, learning from that and slowly managing that made it so the next time it happened, I was like, okay, I got it. And then you start doing things different in business where you're purchasing, you know, items that for the business that their taxes aren't as heavy. And so you learn. But,
becoming financially literate.
Right.
That's what they never taught us.
No one taught me that shit. No, my parents did not. Give me a look to the camera for them. But, you know, And then, like I said, going through divorce, going through medical hardships, life is going to continue to hit me with those. And, I think I manage them a little bit better with some maturity.
When we talk about leadership and having resilience, what's something about the weight of responsibility that people don't understand?
You got to make decisions, man. I think responsibility is it's in all of our lives. If you're a dad, you're responsible for being a mentor for those kids, right? If you're a leader in the military, you got to be a mentor for those kids. If you're a husband, you got to be a good team player for your spouse. Mm. And so those are all responsibilities. And in that is someone has to make decisions. There's got to be a decision-making system that is going to be beneficial for the family or for the bigger goal. And as a leader in a unit, it's the mission, right? And leader in the family, it's the mission of the family. And leader as a father is the mission of being a mentor for those kids. And so I think making good decisions and decisions that improve the force, and whether that be family, the unit, or your kids, I think that's the thing, is a lot of people, I think, are afraid of making those decisions and standing on them and knowing that not every decision is a success, right? There's mistakes that are going to be made, and I think that's the biggest part, is being willing to make those little mistakes, but with good intentions.
Yeah. For those out there struggling, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, what's one truth you wish every man understood?
You're not alone. It's funny, like I have my men's group, and it's more like a men's counseling wellness group. And when I tell them, as the guy who's leading this pack, right, my own personal issues, you see them all go, oh shit, yeah, me too. And it's like, yeah, bro, we all are going through this. Life is hitting all of us at the same time. Mm-hmm. And when you start to alienate yourself and believe that you're doing that alone, it's that much harder. When you start to open up to your friends, your circle, when you scroll the phone, like, I don't know who to tell because I'm stressed. Yeah. Any of those dudes are going to be like, oh, I've been there. Yeah. And that's realistic. And so we are all on this spinning rock trying to find a way to be happy. You know what I mean? And so when you realize you're not alone in your struggles, you're not alone in your questions, you're not alone in your sadness, dude, we are all in this same space and we're all trying to work our way out of it. Open up to a friend, let them know, like, hey, do you have a minute? Let me dump something onto you. And you'll get a lot more relief knowing that you're not alone.
When it comes to, like, obviously, with being here with CORE and in the nation, there's a big, Make America Healthier Great, right? Again, right? It's going around. Especially among high performers and veterans and us being from the veteran community, is talking about hormonal health and longevity. And us coming from a veteran community of like running hot for a long time. Yeah. And then you and Border Patrol running hot for a long time, puts miles on our body. And we can be disciplined. We can do all of the training. We can work out. We can try to eat right. But if your body's working against you, you're fighting an uphill battle, something you know more than anybody. What's your personal journey with optimizing your health?
Yeah, it was hormones first, and it's for what I do for every guy that I meet. Hormones first, because you zero a weapon in the military. You do grouping and zeroing, and if you're grouping a rifle with not knowing how to hold that rifle, your grouping is going to be all over the place, and you can never get to a zero. Yeah, never.
You're just going to be shooting all over the place,
and that's exactly every man who doesn't get his hormones checked has no clue how to group, so you'll never get to a zero. And truthfully, if you don't know that your hormones are off and your hormones are out of whack, anything you do outside of that will never improve the system itself. Mm-hmm. So you have to get to a point where your hormones are at homeostasis, at a good, healthy point. And then from there, everything you do after is appropriate. Because without that, it's a missing link to health. Yeah. And so I give everyone in my group, anyone I know, if they're saying I'm struggling, just had a law enforcement officer call me and say, man, I'm struggling with finances. Like, how's your hormones? And that sounds crazy, but having good hormones is a good space of putting them in mental clarity first. Right. And then they can start making good choices. But low hormones will actually put you in a state of depression faster than anything. And so I need you to be in a good place so you can make better decisions and you won't be at that, hopefully, that terminal crisis is what I call it, right? Mm-hmm. And so get yourself zeroed in right.
Have you ever dealt with feeling just off and not knowing why?
Oh, absolutely. I've gone through phases of this. I don't want to give it the title of depression, but this like, I'm very fortunate to be in a relationship where I can tell my wife this thing because most of us don't have a space like that. Right. But I can tell like, yeah, I'm not feeling myself, and she'll be like, "What is it?" I was like, "Sad. I'm feeling like a uncomfortable, like this darkness of me, right? This like a cloud over me of like I'm not feeling it. I feel this form of despair, right? Uncomfortable of like unclear. And that makes me feel very nervous of like what's coming. I don't know, it's this doom feeling. Yeah. And it's more of uncertainty. That kills me. And I know that comes from like my hormones are off and my routine is off. And that could be from, hey, I'm not getting up and working out every day, or I'm not doing the same routine of like debriefing stress, whether that be writing, whether it be even if it's a cup of coffee outside with my wife and just debriefing the day. There's a system that's off, and I can feel it, and it starts to weigh on me. My minerals, my vitamins and minerals, certain things, I normally take, that if those are off, I feel it off, and then it becomes a wave, dude, that I try and catch. Like I tell my wife when I feel, I'm like, hey, I'm not feeling myself, and I need to figure out what am I missing, and so I try and get back onto the routine.
Excellent. Yeah, routine's the foundation of everything. Yeah. It's the anchor point. So obviously, testosterone decline is a real issue in America for a myriad of different reasons. What do you think men need to hear that they're not hearing enough?
About getting tested?
Or like just testosterone in general?
I think I don't think people realize the umbrella of what that covers. It's not just like muscles. It's not just like, no. It's not muscle. It's not just recovery.
Yeah.
It's this clarity you get. It's also, like having a better relationship with your significant other in how you feel. You actually feel the wants to engage in sexual activities that you might not have, right? It's a really interesting, but it's not this muscles thing. I think wives are more scared of it than anything, to be honest. And I would tell you, like, educate your wife on this, so then she supports like the mental health aspect of this. Yeah. Because I really believe that my wife at first was very nervous about it until she started to get educated on it and realized like, well, you're mentally in a better place. Well, why wouldn't we continue that?
Yeah. So how do you approach training, recovery, and performance now versus back in like the Rage regiment?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I just started doing 5Ks, 10Ks, and triathlons again. And the old me would not train and just show up
and smoke everybody
and still do well. Yeah. No, now it's
that Puerto Rican blood in you.
Yeah, bro. I give myself the grace of recovery that I never did before. You know what I mean? I allow myself to like, hey, it's okay to take a day off and just recover. As long as we're actively recovering and working on that, then you're healing your muscles and giving them time. I'm older, man. I'm 43 years old. Yeah. I tend to feel more injuries more often and I give myself more excuses of when not to train. But part of me signing up for something gives me the motivation, like have a skilled or have a scheduled training task and then also a scheduled rest task. You know what I mean? So give myself time to heal. But, I guess I'm more educated on how I recover and how I eat. And then I also give myself like a reward for it too. Like, you worked hard today, like enjoy it. Let's eat. Let's have fun with the kids,
So you're talking about tacos then?
Oh, absolutely.
That's
and ice cream or donuts, you know what
I mean? Obviously this event is not about just getting a bunch of people together. Yeah. Like that's not it's never Sydney's, intent just to have like a big party. Even though it is what it is, that's not the intent. It's about reconnecting people with a purpose-driven mission mindset. So since you've been here, what's your biggest takeaway about this event this year?
When I started the whole core medical journey was years ago, dude.
Yeah, it's like 8 years now.
8 years, yeah. To see what it is now, and to know one of the biggest struggles with core when I first started this was a lot of people telling me, man, I don't know if I could afford it. And creating this to help fund the nonprofit, to help fund more veterans was the smartest thing we could have done.
Yeah.
Because now you're filling another void that we had. Not just guys educated on it, not just guys getting on it, but to being able to afford it.
Right.
So creating the mechanism that helps fund that was the smartest thing they've ever done. And then to come here and see all the personalities that are involved. I get to see some of my old friends now that are here, and it's like, it's crazy that it's turned into what it is now. But I think the success of it is creating the community behind it.
When you look at the men here today, what gives you hope?
Everyone's smiling, everyone's happy, everyone's striving to be the better version of themselves. And like, you know, I really wholeheartedly believe in it's all about who you surround yourself with, and surround yourself with this group of guys. Everyone has a successful business or a successful lifestyle, successful marriage, you know what I mean? Everyone's working towards that. And so, I mean, if you're going to surround yourself with anyone, like, that's the group you should.
For those that aren't here, what's one piece of advice that you'd give them to start building a tribe of high caliber men?
You know, if you look at this group, there's physical fitness, but then there's jiu-jitsu, there's camaraderie, and there's family. If you're lost, find your community, right? And find the community that pushes you to be a better version of yourself. And so it's similar to like a jiu-jitsu mat room. If you're the black belt in that room, you're probably not growing. But if you're the white belt, you're the blue belt, you're still there getting tapped out, and you're able to improve. And that's no different than this group right here. Like, I see guys here that I strive to be like more. And so I think that pushes me to be a better version of myself by surrounding myself with like high, high, what would you say? The term is, these guys are high performers.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you surround yourself with that, I think it's only attractive for you to try and be the same.
It just drives you to do more.
Yeah.
Well, Rocco, dude, thanks so much for sharing. You got all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Borderlands.
Yeah.
Writing, everything, helping with Border Patrol. Where can people find you about what you have going on and support you?
Check out Instagram, Vincent.Rocco.Vargas. If you're interested in podcasting, Borderland is the big one right now that's doing very well. It's about kind of the cartel and the drug world that's going on right now. So that's very relevant and very important to talk about. So if you guys go check that out. Outside of that, I got a book called Borderline. You guys can check that out on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Peace.